What is going on, guys? It's your boy, Rain, and welcome back to episode 3 of PuG to Curve. Motivation to play has been at an all-time low lately. The further we get into the patch, the harder and harder it is to break into content, which just saps away at my willpower. That said, this week I managed to do my first Mythic Plus. I even got carried through one because of the recent change involving the introduction of Valor points. This meant that a lot of high-geared players are running low-level Mythic Plus in order to get the Valor to upgrade their gear. There is currently no difference in Valor points rewarded at dungeon completion between a +2 or a +22, which has led to a lot of well-geared players running these low keys. Useful for me. Anyway, let's get into it. Started this week off switching to the Night Fae Covenant. As much as I enjoy playing as Necrolord and as Destruction, I felt like I was hampering my own performance by not going for the best. I wanted to switch to Affliction, and the Necrolord Covenant ability just doesn't work very well for Affliction. In addition to this, Warlock isn't exactly the most mobile class, so having Soul Shape on hand for those situations where you just gotta move quick and you haven't preempted a demonic circle is always good. After switching to Night Fae, I then crafted my Affliction legendary. I went for Demonic Synergy as pretty much every source I could find said this is one of the best to go for, and I can understand why. I opted to put this on head as I probably won't replace the slot for a long time. Best in slot for Affliction drops from Side and Athri, which, killing one heroic at least, is the end goal for this series. I also needed to fill the gap in my leg slot where my Destruction legendary was before. I tried to do some PvP to get the honour, but that didn't work out too well. What the hell was that? I didn't even get... Why did I fall for it? Needless to say, after losing that battleground, I didn't take it well, and I decided that perhaps PvP wasn't the route for me for now. At this point I realised I didn't have to PvP. If I did my Covenant campaign, I could obtain item level 197 pieces to fill in the gaps, because you'd be able to upgrade it. But the main issue with this is that the Covenant campaign requires renown. So I decided to try do some daily callings to get the renown, but about 5 minutes into doing the first one, I came to the conclusion that world quests suck, and anyone who enjoys them is a psychopath. So instead I headed for LFR. I only really wanted to do Side and Athrius as he dropped some really nice items for Affliction. Mainly the juicy Haste Mastery ring. And lo and behold, there it is. Oh. Yeah! Flavor Town population. After a quick stop at the auction house where I looked for some 168 blue legs in order to change my legendary, I then started applying to Mythic Plus. I thought a +7 drops item level 200 gear, so I'll look around that mark. I got invited to a +6 and, well... There you go, you've been removed from the group. After that crushing disappointment, I wasn't sure I would ever truly recover. And then I just started applying for more groups. Soon after I found myself invited to a +2 Halls of Atonement. Alright, time to start building up my juicy Raider IO score. It was a pretty smooth run despite the fact that the route was interesting to say the least. Like, what is this? We didn't drop down, we ran down the stairs and pulled half the world. And then this, we killed the last boss and we had to come back on ourselves because we were still like 7% off. All in all, the run went well, and I got exactly what I expected I would get. Despite the fact I didn't get any loot from the Halls of Atonement 2, I then got my own Mythic Plus key, which is kind of one of the most important things you can get. I highly recommend you level your own keys up if you're looking to PuG things, especially as a DPS. It's hard to get into groups with no raid or IO score, so you should always level your key where you can. Here I managed to get was Halls of Atonement 2, funnily enough what I'd just done before. This time, however, I was creating a group. After just about 30 seconds in the queue, I had a couple of 220 eye level people applying to join. +2 gives the same amount of valor as a +15, so during this week a lot of people were farming low level Mythic Plus in order to get the valor they need to upgrade their items. So I flew over to Halls of Atonement and we pretty much just burst the whole thing down and got a +3. No surprise there. Kind of felt like I wasn't doing a whole lot for most of the dungeon. Partly because I didn't know Affliction very well, and partly because everyone else was just blasting.
I'm learning! Aw, way to go.
Right here.
Alright. So stupid. Why is that even a thing? That about sums up Halls of Atonement 2 from my own key. The one interesting thing about that was a demon hunter using the Necro Lord Covenant ability. That's what that demon you saw just there was. When they kill it, they get a little buff. It's kind of weird. I've never actually seen anyone use it, but apparently it's making the rounds in the Vengeance Demon Hunter community. Of course, I got no loot. I invited 2 mages and nothing dropped for me. It was only leather drops. It's always brilliant. Love that. On to the next key. After that, my key upgraded to a Mists +5. The issue with the +5s is that you start to actually get affixes here, which means the number of people applying and the quality of the applications starts to dip as you get into the realm of what are actually real people trying to do real keys. That said, it only took me about 5.5 minutes to make a group, which I think is not bad from a single DPS. I did, however, try to show off my amazing gate skip skills, but yeah, this happened. Maybe the gate skip wasn't the pro move. Why has he done that? But once we resolved that issue, it was reasonably easy. DPS was okay, it wasn't amazing, and we didn't really have any mechanics issues with anything. Oh, except this weird thing. This happened.
What was that
the Shaman Bloodlust before we even made it to the boss and could castle him. Obviously an NDI move I've never actually seen done, because I'm just a little scrub lord. Yeah, all in all, we +2'd it and it went okay. Now begins the tragic tale of Theatre of Pain +7. Now we start to get into an interesting spot in the PuG career. +7's drop item level 200 gear, so in theory it's not too difficult. Pretty good way of gearing up and taking that step beyond most LFR and Mythic 0 pieces, but the difficulty does ramp up quite considerably. And what you find is that there's no way to gauge people's skill outside of a Raider.io score, and even if you take that into account, you never know the circumstance of what that run involved. Did the person get boosted? Was the person the issue in that group? You just don't know. Was the person the carry in that group? Could be. Turns out, in my Theatre of Pain 7, pretty much everyone I invited was terrible. We had an item level 215 Kyrian Affliction Warlock that was doing less damage than me consistently. In fact, he was doing 2.5k DPS over the entire instance, well up until the point where we failed.
I'm in danger!
I really should have taken the hint that he was Kyrian, and that was the real issue. Try as the healer might, he just couldn't keep the group up, and we really struggled. I think it doesn't help that the tank managed to get himself knocked into this group over here. And then the healer just gave up. He couldn't handle it anymore and he left. thus concludes the first fail in the PuG career. I didn't take it too personally, it happens, you're not going to win every one, and I kind of expect it to happen sooner. This step into the realm of things that are actually reasonably difficult and it requires people to have a bit of a brain. But when the 192 Warlock is out DPSing a 216 one, there's kind of some issues going on there. With that said and done, that just about wraps up my week, I think. I didn't really do much else. After taking that L, I just went and transmog farmed and enjoyed some other stuff. So yeah guys, that wraps up this week's video. I've put an infographic on screen for you so you can see all the activity I got up to, any changes in scores and what raid bosses I did. I didn't achieve as much as I wanted to, but I still managed to make quite a long video here. These videos seem to be increasing in length as we go along as things get more and more complicated, I guess. But I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, I'd appreciate you leaving me a like or a comment, and I'll see you guys next week.